Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise to bring House Bill 85. This is the third piece of the legislative pay bill or compensation bill that we've been working on, the third one that I brought you. The first one we passed last week that raised the Superior Court judges' salary age from 60 to 65. Yesterday we did the appellate judges. Today this deals with Superior Court judges, and it really, this conversation started several years ago, and I want to give a shout out to Presiding Justice Nels Peterson, Judge Harris, Judge Weaver, and all of those that came together to the table to really fine-tune this and come up with a good solution. I also want to pause and give a shout out to the late Judge Rusty Smith, who passed away earlier this year from the Mountain Judicial Circuit, who also played a huge role in this. There is discrepancy in pay across the state with Superior Court judges. We have some judges that are in the top 8th percentile of judges paid. We have some in the bottom 99th percentile. And what this does is it creates parity across the state. It takes the burden off of the local counties to pay their judges, and it puts it on the state. What this does is it allows us to appropriate how much a Superior Court judge is going to make. It puts a cap on the salary that we're allowed to appropriate to them, and that is 90% of what a U.S. district judge in the Northern Circuit makes. Mr. President, there is an amendment I strongly oppose. Any amendment to this bill. I understand the passion and why some in this chamber feel the need, but like I said in the very beginning, this has been a years-long process, and addressing the pay of people in public service needs to be more transparent than an amendment on a floor on day 37 at the end of this session. I would encourage anybody supporting that amendment, let's not railroad this important piece of legislation by adding this. Let's do it right. If you want to change your pay, then you got to do it. Drop a bill, have a study committee, do something like that. But I would just ask that we oppose Amendment 1 or any other amendments to this, because this bill has been a very carefully crafted piece of legislation, and if we send it back to the House, it'll receive final passage. And I'm happy to answer any questions, Mr. President.
You do have one question. Recognize Senator from the 41st.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, do you yield?
I do.
Can you just break this down for us? There's a lot of words here. In short, how much of a raise would Superior Court judges be receiving upon average? Can you give me a dollar figure for how much of a raise we're talking about?
Well, there's a huge disparity between how much judges across the state are getting paid. Some judges, if they were to opt into the system, would actually see a pay decrease based on local supplements that are provided, and some could get a pay increase as much as 30%. But what it does is it takes it off of the locals that are paying the supplements, and it does give it to the state, because Superior Court judges are state employees. They are not county employees.
Do you further yield?
I do.
Isn't it true that there's a provision in here that ensures that the judges that represent my county will not take a pay decrease should they opt into the system?
I know that you know yes, the senator knows of what she speaks.
Do you further yield?
I do.
So just so I'm clear, though, if you're saying that for some judges this will be about a 30% increase, does that measure out to be about $80,000 pay increase for judges, some judges on the state's back? Is that not true?
I don't think there's any judge that would increase by that much. I think it would be more $50,000 to $60,000 range. But ultimately, what this is doing is it's creating parity. And if we were to set it at the maximum, which is what you're assuming, if we were to set it at the maximum, then yes, it could. But it's going to be up to us to set it, number one. And number two, if we do set it to the maximum, it only puts Georgia. It doesn't put Georgia at the top of the country. We would rank 14th in judges' pay.
Thank you.
Recognize the senator from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Yield.
I do.
Senator, is it not true that I have been very critical of this bill and similar proposals over the past few years?
I think very critical almost categorizes it, yes.
Thank you. Is it not, that being said, would the senator further yield?
I will.
Is it not true that we have worked very hard on some retirement pieces to help offset the cost increase of this bill?
Yes, and I want to, honestly, I want to commend you for the work that you've done, not just last session, but in the interim and this session to get us where we are here. And I think you helped the legislation get to this point, and hopefully we'll be able to support it because it means a lot. And we want to thank you for all that you've done to help support this.
Will you yield for a few more questions?
I will.
In that vein, is it not true that we are actually on a separate bill in order to help offset the cost of this bill, raising the retirement of our judges by a significant portion?
That's right. We passed that last week. We were raising it from 60 to 65 to bring them in parity with the appellate judges.
Because nobody else was retiring at 60
Correct.
anyway, correct?
That's correct.
Would the senator further yield?
I will.
Is it not true that I also requested that there be a balance and a leveling off, that every Superior Court judge in Georgia, since they're all Superior Court judges, make the same exact pay, whether they're in Hayhira or Houston County or working in Cobb County?
That is correct.
Will the senator further yield?
I will.
Does this bill cause that leveling out of judges who are on an equal level with the state constitution to now be on a equal level on pay in our state?
It does.
Okay. Will the senator yield further?
I will.
There has been, as you know, last year, in order to accomplish this, I requested that it be done on a constitutional amendment.
That's correct.
Is it not true that the opinion that has been given to us and the legislative intent of what we're passing now is to make sure that this general bill supersedes any local bill that would later be dropped, considered by this body, considered by the House, that would raise or cause any locality pay to be created for any singular judge or any singular judicial circuit?
The senator knows of what he speaks.
Will Senator yield for one further question?
I will.
Since I'm a lawyer and I said the word singular, I have to ask you this. Is it not true that the intention of this general bill is also to occupy the field so that no local bill that would be for multiple Superior Court districts could be dropped to raise their pay around what this general bill already sets?
That's correct.
Thank you.
You have no more questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.